Okay, so here we go. Let me show you how we're going to make this whole wheat bread. To start off with the flour, we need 17 ounces. The recipe on the website calls for 16, but we're going to use 17 because I think that works a little bit better. So using the scale, and the nice thing is we can just pour it until we get to 17. We're pretty close to it. And 16.3, 16.8. There we go, 17. So that's our flour. Then we're going to just mix everything together here. So next thing we need here is olive oil, and if you look at the recipe, it says olive oil and then honey, molasses, maple syrup. So what I'm going to do actually is alternate back and forth. Makes it a little bit easier to get everything out of the thing. So here's the olive oil. So I'm going to start with one of the first of the three. So there's a tablespoon. That, and then I'm going to switch over to the honey because this way my spoon's already kind of greased up, which makes it a little bit easier because you'll see as I get this tablespoon filled, that just comes out. Look at that, nice and clean. And usually I do 2 of these because we need 5 tablespoons of the sweet stuff. So we'll go 1 olive oil, 2 honey, another olive oil, 2 more honey, and then 1 more of each. So there's the second. You see that one didn't come out quite as clean, but then we'll do another one of olive oil. So there's 2 of olive oil. And here comes number 3 for the honey. And there's that. And then here comes number 4 for the honey. This is the 3rd of the olive oils, and 1 more honey. I've made this with honey, maple syrup, and molasses and have not really noticed any significant flavor difference between the 3 sweeteners, so whichever one you've got should work. So that's olive oil, honey. Then let's add the water in here, get the rest of the liquids in. This is 1/3 cup of water, not hot. It's been nuked for about a little over a minute so that it was warm but not hot. If it's hot, you'll kill the yeast, so make sure that you stick your finger to make sure it doesn't feel hot to you. Then we need about 1/2 cup of this seed mixture, so just take a 1/4 cup. Another 1/4 cup, and there's that, so that's easy enough. And then salt and yeast. So here's the salt, 1½ teaspoons, so that's 1½. Salt, there's the salt. Set that aside, and then finally the yeast. It calls for 2½ teaspoons, so I happen to have this one, which is a 2 1/4 teaspoon yeast spoon, as they call it, because 2 1/4 teaspoons is what you find in those little packets. So this is the equivalent of one of those packets. This recipe calls for 2½, so I end up just using a slightly rounded, and I figure that's probably got a little bit more than 2 1/4, maybe 2½. That's close enough. And then you really just need to mix this into a shaggy ball. You could use a wooden spoon for this, but in any event, I've got a nice silicone spatula, which makes it a little bit easier to scrape the sides, and I just keep spinning the bowl. Move this stuff around. Mostly, you just need to get this mixed up enough so that it seems to have clumped up into a ball. But we're going to end up letting this thing sit for at least 20 minutes. The whole wheat flour will continue to soak up the liquids and get itself hydrated. So there's no point in trying to do anything with it yet until it's had a chance. So there we go. There's what they would call a shaggy ball of dough. So Scrape that off. So there's a shaggy dough ball, and that's it. We just need to cover this with plastic and then come back about 20 minutes from now. Talk to you in a minute, or 20 of them.